Oh my god, this is so amazing! Hi, I'm Jenny, and you read that right. I got to design a clock that was on the set of one of the most recent episodes of Monster Garage. But first, here's some insight into who I am as a creator. Every weekend, my family would pack up our minivan and head across the great state of Texas to set up my booth and sell my one-of-a-kind handmade steampunk jewelry and accessories, along with some of my amazingly talented artists and friends, who I'll tag below. My business was exploding, and then my early 2020 was spent completely knocked out by the flu type B and pneumonia. After I recovered, I took on freelance graphic design jobs wherever I could, which was difficult with a toddler. Also on a lark, I downloaded TikTok and started filming content and was surprisingly good at it. But of all my creative content that I pushed out, this gem was the one that went viral.
I just woke up to 5,000 new followers. Good morning. So let's get this show on the road. Let's rinse out the hair and then shave the sides of my head. I need coffee.
Let's get back to talking about the clock though. After all, that's why you clicked on this video. In early July 2020, I had definitely hit a creative slump when one of my artist friends tagged me in a post on Facebook. I was immediately sus, but after doing some Googling, I was able to verify that this was indeed a real job. So I grabbed this old clock from a project I never finished and a bucket full of just cords and all kinds of stuff and threw together the most unprofessional pitch.
Okay, so here's my unprofessional pitch video. So right back here, we've got this giant clock. It actually does work, but I'm going to redo everything on it. My idea is to take this clock, which is a little bit deep, bump it out just a little bit with a black foam core back so it still stays light, put a light behind the clock so it glows over the top, put something so that these lights kind of hang out a little bit with the Edison bulbs, kind of flicker just a little bit. I've got a bunch of foam heads that I want to put, like one big foam head that's carved out, kind of Mad Max style. I've got gears, these are actually foam. I've got tubing. Now for like the tubing, I can run lighted LED through the tubes or not, just depending on how much light you want, ambient light in the background, because I know you need just a little bit of light in film so that things don't get lost in the background, but not too much light that it detracts from what the show is about. Going with that kind of post-apocalyptic doomsday vibe, I was also thinking about getting a skull, animal skull of some kind to go on the third one. So that is my unprofessional pitch. I will also have attached some photos of some more of the wearable props.
And off my pitch went to the producer, and astonishingly, he said yes. So I immediately got to work because, oh, did I forget to mention, I had under 2 weeks to get this project completely finished. Now, they were really looking for something completed to just put on set as background decoration, but they were ecstatic to get something completely custom of this magnitude. The majority of these early clips were filmed for TikTok, and you can't have TikTok music on YouTube. Nope. But fairly quickly I decided maybe I should actually start talking about what I'm doing. And so we had a shift in how I was filming the videos. But I'll warn you, these first few clips are rough.
Okay, so there's the head. And I've taken one of the knives and stabbed it in the back so that I have a stand for the head. And there's my colors. And I just keep plugging away at it. First coat is done of the rest. Okay, so the first layer is a combination of burnt sienna and raw sienna, which is right here. It's kind of a camel color, and then this more of a red brown. This over here is burnt umber, which has just a little bit of a green base in it. But so what I do is I thin it out, I blob it on, and then I drip it. If this was a statue out in the air, moisture would be hitting it and then draining down. So that's kind of why I do it this way. And then after it starts drying, I'll actually take just a wet brush and just kind of just so it's not so straight.
Next was a Facebook Live, and I took this cheap plastic Walmart clock, took the mechanisms off of it, and painted it with 2 cheap household paints. One is a metallic Crafter's Choice. I think you can get it at Walmart. And made it into an actual metallic looking clock. The benefit to using these cheaper clocks is that they're lightweight, and so they're really not going to damage your walls or require drywall or decking screws to hold them up. So there you can see a massive difference. And then just like I did to the foam head, I'm going to make these look really, really old and rusty, because again, we're going for post-apocalyptic but also steampunk. Next, I installed some lighting inside the clock.
This is called L wire. So I've got them on right now. This is what it looks like in full light. And this is what they look like with the lights off.
To attach these to the clock, I used an industrial temperature hot glue gun. This thing gets so hot it will give you third-degree burns, which I went ahead and did several times in the process of gluing all of these EL wires to the back of these plastic clocks. I wanted to give it some ambient lighting so that when it was on, they seemed to glow internally. And it kind of worked. It was my first time using EL wiring. I don't think I'll use it again. I'll probably use either fiber optics or just good old-fashioned LEDs next time. But it was a fun experience. They're super easy to use and they're not that expensive. So, I mean, I guess it worked. The biggest problem with these EL wires is they're just not that bright, and in a lit room or a semi-lit room, you just can't see them.
This is the underside of the clock. This is the store-bought mass market paint job. Shiny black with some copper dry brush across the surface. And this is what we've turned it into. Now this is a Nixie 2 clock. It is a 1940s, 1950s era bulb that looks very steampunk-esque. So it's going to be mounted right here. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. My dad is over here. He is working on the electrical stuff that scares me. Yep, we're wiring our cage bulbs into quote-unquote copper pipes, which is spray painted PVC. Once we get it all assembled and wired, I will age that as well. And let's see where we go from here. This Nixie clock can be a little bit dangerous. Back here on the bottom, right there where that little black part sticks out, is where the USB adapter or the power adapter sticks into the back of this and sticks into the wall, and I touched it and sent 180 volts through myself. So we're going to construct a box to, one, protect this device while it's on set, but also protect anybody who happens to get a little handsy with it. So this is some plastic that happened to be just the perfect width that came off of something I bought in the craft store. It's slipped in there. In the back, I've cut out a hole for the power port to come out of. I've left the front uncovered because I don't want glare. And on a film set, you never know what angles the light's gonna come from, and so it's just easier to not have a piece. Then I've got this thing, which is gonna cover the back like that. And this is actually an old JCPenney cardboard jewelry box that was too long, so you can see I'm using manila folder to glue it down, and then I'll fold up those sides and we'll go from there. The next part is to get this hodgepodge box painted. I am painting the box with a burnt umber in the cheapest of cheap craft store paint.
1 week into this monumental project, and our house started to get just a little passive-aggressive with each other. This time-lapse soundbite captured.
Mother, when are you going to go back to being a mother? Once this is complete.
You're gonna be 65, 70 maybe?
Well, I have to have this on set on the 2nd, so that's how long I got. I am giving it this faux wood texture, which will work fine because it's not going to be the main component of this piece, so it's not the main focal point. All I do is just brush it back and forth to give it that appearance of wood grain. Simple as that. This clock is big. You can see in the size of my arm, this clock is big. So this little Nixie clock is going to go right here, I want it lined up with the 9, 3, and 3. So something like that on here. This is a tube foam that you put on, say, the edge of your garage door so you don't bonk your head on it. And I've just cut down pieces and they're under here. Obviously you can see that, and it's a little bit ugly, of taking these cardboard die cuts of these gears, putting this right there.
This is where I get to explain that I had been using my phone to record the majority of these videos. Being extremely engrossed in the creation of this clock, I stopped noticing that it stopped recording sound or even footage during this time period. But I used more foam and foam core to attach the box to the clock.
You can see just the massive stuff that I've got going on right here. So there is the E6000. I put it on like caulk, ran my finger across it. Don't do that. Read the back of E6000. You shouldn't touch it. And then we're going to finish making it look like copper pipe. Okay, I forgot something important. Step 1, spray paint your PVC pipe in a copper spray paint that really doesn't look anything like copper. Step 2 is to then paint over that copper with this copper. Why? Because this sticks to this and this sticks to this-ish. You can see it kind of scrapes off easily, really easily actually. We have the filled copper painted pipes, and I'm putting the first layer of dark paint on, so you can see this is how it's looking. Of course, my good old standby burnt umber is what we're doing a wash of right now. So what I'm doing is I'm taking splooging, then I come back over with a wet brush and brush up like this. And also, you like how I'm standing this thing up? I'm using some La Sierra refried beans. Yes, and I'm watching Twitch in the background. One of my favorite Minecraft streamers is. Okay, so this is what we're looking at right now. This is how it's looking with the burnt umber, and we're going to be turning it into this. Now, this right here is by using these two colors. So we've got Key West and Laguna from Alphabet Paints. It's driving cars around the living room. So there we go. So I just take it, I daub it, here daub it. Again, brush up on surfaces where the water catches. We add more patina, and that is a good way to get the copper patina. And there goes the clock. And that is the pile of stuff I'm working on the clock that won't fit on the table. When you look, you can see the 3 different colors. You can see the burnt umber, and then this, especially like right here, you can see the 2 different teals, turquoises muddling together. So, important step for umber. If you don't do this, it's not going to look completely aged. So now today's goal is to create a frame in the back for this to attach to. Okay, so we have decided that the tube would look best if we drill into this metal and put the tube here. So that is what we are now doing. First attempt was a fail because cheap tools. Try again.
Watching this footage back now is slightly terrifying. I really wish we had clamped this clock to the table. Also, kind of wish we hadn't had to do this on the kitchen table. It was also 102 outside the week that we needed to do this, so you do what you need to do. Anyway, my dad and I fight incessantly like cats, but when it comes down to it, we are two extremely creative individuals who love to make things with our hands, and when we put the two of us on a project together, we can make some pretty damn incredible things out of trash, and that's pretty much what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I say that previous part was terrifying? No, this was the terrifying part. Anyway, so after we cut that hole in the clock, we needed to cut a channel in the pipe to fit over a bolt on the inside of the clock that this pipe would straddle and thus give stability to the lamp head. Now this is the bottom of the pipe. As you can see, we're fitting it, and with a little JB weld, ta-da, the lamp was now stable. Now I got to do the real fun part and adorn the front of the clock faces. In this next section, I'm going to take a real animal skull and turn it into this beautiful ornate crown. But if you're a little bit squeamish or don't like the look of real bone, then skip ahead. Okay? You've been warned.
Okay, so today's goal is to turn this deer skull into a headdress for the foam head that looks like that. This is what I'm going to attempt to use. It is a serrated X-Acto blade. Let's see if this works. Because I really don't want to use the Dremel. I don't even know where to start. I guess we'll start here.
This deer had died of somewhat natural causes and had decayed on the back 40 of someone's property, and so I got to somewhat clean it, and it was still kind of gross on the inside, and I had soaked it in hydrogen peroxide for several days before attempting to clean it. It was still kind of gross, really gross, but I knuckled down and did what I needed to do. I also wanted to bathe in hydrogen peroxide after doing this. In the end, I did have to break out the Dremel.
I'm sure it is, but this is what it is, and we took it outside. I wore a face shield, and we cut it down, and now it fits on the skull. The skull fits on the head. Yeah, that. I just feel weird painting this beautiful skull. But let's do this. Okay, so we're going to do the patina that we did on the pipes. So the first layer, of course, is the burnt umber. And that is going to give it a nice aged look as well. Okay, I've been doing a terrible job recording the progress of this, and it's because my toddler's in there watching TV. So this is where we're at right now. I played around with several different pieces of brass stampings. These are actually vintage from the early 1900s. And I just have a lot of like these little things, little gears. I mean, if you look over here, there are so many different pieces I have. And I just kind of played around with it until I got something that I felt was cohesive. Glued them down and did a wash of the burnt umber, and then they were still popping a little too much. I needed to take down the gold tone off, and one of the ways to do that, because it was too warm tone, was to add green. So I have this bottle of holly branch, and I did like literally one drop of holly branch to a 1/4 teaspoon of the burnt umber, and it just kicked up the green a little bit, made it a very murky green color, and did a wash over the top of that. And you can see it's still really warm toned, and you don't see the green at all, but it's there. And that helped just tone things down, make it look more cohesive. So now we're gonna do the copper patina. This is how this is looking. I think it looks great. The patina came out great. Here's the clock. And there's where this is gonna go. I've got some green tape up here just because I had to repaint part of this pipe. So that is currently finishing. This is where this is gonna go. And then there's these pipes that I have the EL wire in that'll very subtly glow. And so after I get the crown attached, we're gonna work on, I'm gonna turn the pipes and tubes into hair. And it's glued down to a piece of that foam tubing, the same foam tubing that we're using right here to glue the big clock to the back clock.
Okie dokie. I am making my husband hold up this heavy clock. Just for size reference. So it sticks out about that far. And he is
5'11".
5'11". Can you lower it so the top of the light is at your head, or are you gonna drop it? Okay. So yeah, it's at what, 3 feet, 4 feet? So, okay, now I can see his arm starting to shake. So, the video's done. So the last several hours, I have been working on finishing up the back of the clock, which included installing this EL wire and this string of LED lights. And then I've also been working on cord management. So that's what I've been doing back here to get it all pretty. So, you know, from the top down to the bottom, it looks really good, and then we get here. So that's what I'm working on now, is that cord management. Otherwise, the front of the clock is done. This is the last little bit on the back of the clock. Then we'll put the black box that goes behind it and encases everything, and then this whole project is done. This is the cord management I did. This is all gonna go into a power strip. This one's not big enough, so I gotta go get a new power strip. But the power strip will be right here, hidden. Okay, this is testing the Nixie. It is plugged into power. The power strip is under here. The strip is plugged in but not turned on. So let me flip the switch and see if this works. Here we go. Okay, it's working. Okay, so as you can see, I'm actually going to be kicking the back of the clock out, and that's mainly to make room for the plugs. So, to get this rounded shape at an angle, I have cut some of the black foam core, and then you score it. But when you score it, you just go through the paper layer and leave the layer behind it alone, right? So the paper layer, and what that does is you can get curves. So after this is done, I'm using the dreaded hot glue, which this is, again, my industrial heat hot glue gun. Will give you 3rd-degree burns, and it will glue. Like, a lot of times when people have issues using hot glue and things not sticking, it's because their glue gun is a craft glue gun that does not get killer hot. So let's get this scoring done and attached. Okay, so it is 3:45, just turned 3:46, and I just discovered the clock is off, but if I turn on the clock and it cycles through, and 57, 58. So there we go. It's set. Woo! Okay, so she's finished. Finished. Finished to the finish to the finish. Here it is. I added the black box to the back, which I guess if I swing my light around. There we go. Black box. Kicks it out a little bit from the back of the wall, and that's so that there's room for the plugs in the back. Lights up at the top. Our current hanging method at home, at least, are these 2 eye bolts and that chain. Nixie clock is working. The EL wires are fairly dim, but they're there. And let's see, oh, there's EL wire in the tubes. EL wire here, EL wire. So yeah, I mean, there's EL wire like behind these, but you really can't tell. But yeah, if you swing in right here, you can see it. But whatever, it's there. And then on the inside, if we get really close, black duct tape to cover up the power strip.
And a little bit of cord showing is fine since we've got the dangly bits over here. And then in the back, I've got a little part that you can open up, flip it up, so you can see the power strip, turn it on and off. And it's done. It's finished. It's amazing. It's incredible. Okay, we are about to load this thing in the car. You can see that when it rests on its back, it's completely fine. It does sit at an angle, and at the moment I have this hanging off the table. I believe if I put this, yeah, see, it's not even gonna touch. It can totally be laid on its back safely. To lift this thing, never, ever, ever grab these. Never, ever, ever grab this. You can see how flexible that is. The only part of this thing you can lift it by is this. This is the only metal part, and actually these are the only metal part, and this is secure. So you can lift it by this, only lift it by the metal, and try not to like bump this. This thing is really safe in here. It's not coming out since we discovered it has a CMOS battery. This is the power cord. And then back here is a flap. This opens. There's access to the power cord. There's the on and off switch for that, and then this closes. Do not turn it on before you plug it in. Once it's plugged in, to turn it off, you still gotta, put your hand up in there and then click it off. And then this just goes like this. This is a hole because this plug is really, really too long. Okay, so update. I went to the set and dropped off the clock, and they actually let me on set to see where it's going to be. So I got to go on set and walk around to the area that my clock is going to be. I didn't push my luck with anything else. I did ask for some photos of it on set. We'll see if they give me any, just because I know I'm not going to get any more if I don't. So anyway, stay tuned for more updates, I guess. That's what I get for filming a clip after eating dinner.
And that was it. I didn't hear a word for a week until I got another call that they were done filming and it was time for me to pick up the clock. When I walked on set this time, wow, what a difference. They had just wrapped filming that morning and you could still smell the smoke and grease and burning metal in the air. And I could still feel the energy of the cast in that room. We loaded my clock, now covered in shards of metal and dirt from the shop, into the back of the minivan and drove home. And that was it from the producer. For several months. 4 months went by. 4, without a word. But in just a few hours, the episode goes live, and I'll get to see my clock on TV, I hope. So let's jump to future me, seeing my clock for the first time on national TV. Ooh, let's go. Let's do it. Let's make it full screen.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Monster Fam!
It might shoot a 5-foot flame.
This week, Jesse's bringing the heat by attempting to build a 70s Corvette fueled by wood.
Got some wood. Hey!
That's right, folks, a wood-powered muscle car.
Thing's hotter than Satan's ass crack right now. Not that I have first-hand experience or anything.
Get ready, because we got an apocalyptic-looking wood-burning Corvette. Flames
fucking lit!
and twins in the all-new Monster Garage.
Okay, alright.
Morning, Jesse.
I know where it went. Oh my god! I'm sorry. Anyone using microphones? I'm so sorry. Okay.
So we're gonna make a Corvette powered by wood.
Right there, over that lady's shoulders. Ladies and gentlemen, she is now a national artist and set decorator.
Oh my god, okay.
The price of has doubled, ladies and
I didn't think it made it into this shot because it was raining and it didn't get to set on time. I'm so excited. Okay. A hanky.
And there you have it, my clock on the set of Monster Garage. It was in a good portion of all the scenes. No close-up beauty shots, but that's okay with me. Just being on set was an amazing privilege and opportunity. Hopefully you'll be seeing a whole lot more of me on sets in movies and TV from here on out. But until then, stick around because I've got big plans and a huge room full of more sculptures and steampunk creations just waiting to be filmed. So, until next time, steampunk you later? Oh no, this is the same problem I had with my last video. I don't have an outro. Well, until we meet again. Okay, well, bye! P.S. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share with your friends, join the steampunk army.